it, then it's an international flare-up. So we almost have to do it through like Shell Corporation, which is BlackRock. If we do it, China goes, this is war. If BlackRock does it, we just go, hey, that's BlackRock. This is the biggest fund manager in the world. We got nothing to do with that. But then Trump calls Larry and goes, Larry, this is what I need you to do. And then he better do it.
Yeah.
But it's a shame. I want the American people to win.
In this video, Andrew Schulz joins the PBD podcast. Patrick Bet-David and Andrew Schulz discuss China's attempt to prevent BlackRock from acquiring the Panama Canal. With that, let's watch Andrew Schulz and PBD discuss the seriousness and difficulty this presents for the United States.
Yeah, I kind of want to go through this story. China, Hong Kong threatened to thwart sale of Panama Canal ports to America's BlackRock. Very, very weird, interesting thing happened here when you look at this. Okay, very interesting thing happened here. China and Hong Kong pushed back against a $23 billion deal where BlackRock, a U.S. investment giant, would buy a Panama Canal ports, Cristobal and Balboa. One is at the North Atlantic and the other one is at the South Pacific, from C.K. Hutchinson owner, Hong Kong billionaire Li Ka-shing, with Hong Kong leader John Lee saying it deserves serious attention. President Donald Trump praises it as the U.S. reclaiming the canal, but Beijing probes into antitrust and national security concerns that could derail it. As expert Gordon Chang warns, if Beijing stops this deal, that's a direct challenge to the President of the United States on an issue that he really cares about. The canal handles 5% of global trade. The deal, which includes 43 ports from 23 different countries, aimed to counter Trump's claim that China used the canal to rip off U.S. ships and fees. But Lee jabbed at Trump, saying, we oppose the abusive use of coercion of bullion tactics in international economic and trade relations. Tom, your thoughts on this?
Well, first of all, what's really interesting is if you know anything about Hong Kong billionaire Li Ka-shing, he's known as Li Cash-in, right? Because of the deals that he's done.
I can see where they get that nickname.
And he did tremendous deals starting in the early 90s with cellular phones and everything. And it was Hutchinson Whampoa, which is now his derivative, C.K. Hutchinson. So this guy's like a major, major player. He's not a casual player. But he's always been a Hong Kong guy, not a China guy. He's always been a Hong Kong guy. And then he's got his son, who's usually has kind of screwed things up. Well, what's interesting here is BlackRock comes to him and says, hey, we'll buy these two things for, $23 billion. We'll buy these two ports. So that would be like you saying, I'm going to buy the Cypress Creek on-ramp to I-95, and I'm going to buy the Sunrise on-ramp to 95. So if you want to go on I-95 between those, you got to use those on-ramps. So it's a smart move by Trump. Trump asked him to do it. Trump said, hey, could you go buy these and then you'll own it, you'll make a lot of money? Because what has China been doing? They've been building these oversized bridges and they've been also building infrastructure down there because they want to screw with the West and control of the Panama Canal. And Trump's like, I got an idea. You buy the two on-ramps on either end from Li Ka-shing. You do that. And that way we'll have kind of a stalemate with China trying to put its influence on the Panama Canal. And who's the first person to speak up? Beijing. Hang on a minute. I think this deserves serious attention, whatever that is in Chinese.
I got to hear more about this story, but I like what I'm hearing so far. Yeah, China poses all sorts of problems with the Panama Canal, and it's intentional. And with the trade war we have going on with them, it's only going to intensify. It's funny, I always decry these big investment firms like BlackRock buying up property in the United States. But on this issue, I'm like, yeah, go BlackRock. I think it's a smart suggestion by Trump. And I really hope the deal goes through because I really do believe that we are wearing China down in this trade war. And I think we need to see it all the way through. And I think this would just be another win in that ongoing battle that would ultimately bring it closer to a resolution. Anyway, let's get back to the video.
Right. And then says, and we think there could be antitrust and national security concerns. And we're like, we agree. Yours, not mine, yours. And so I think this is a good deal for the U.S. to neutralize what China's been doing with the Panama Canal. And if you don't know how important it is, you should watch some of the stuff that we've done and that this man has done, because we've talked about how big and important this port is.
Yeah, I mean, this is 43 ports that they bought. In the canal right now, there's 5 ports, okay? China owned 2 of them. We owned a very small port that's they call now facilities. Singapore owned a small facility, and I think Thailand owned a small facility. Now we bought two of them. One is here Atlantic, the other one is here Pacific. Very, very important that is now taking place. But there's a couple things that the history with this is unique. This guy, C.K. Hutchinson, the founder, the owner of it, back in the 90s, he had a real estate deal that he did that Xi prevented from happening. So the two have history for many, many years of this taking place. Many, many years of this taking place. And, while this is going back and forth, he does real estate sell-off in 2020, 2021, way before, and Xi did not like that. So now he's selling this, and the deal happened very quickly. By the way, on the back end, think about it on the back end. BlackRock. What happened to BlackRock last 4 years? Positive
DEI,
or negative?
Negative.
Okay, DEI. You got the net
ESG,
zero deal.
Yep.
You had ESG. So watch this. Whoever did this deal, brilliant. In January, if you can go, Rob, and you look at the net, what was it called? Type in net, not net zero. What's the, type in zero BlackRock climate change. Type in zero BlackRock climate change. It should be January.
Zero emissions?
Net zero statement right there. Net zero. Go to, if you can go to zero, if you go to net zero, go back a little bit, Rob, to see under the news. Go to news. If you can go to news right there. Zoom in a little bit, look at the dates. BlackRock quits climate group as Wall Street lowers environmental profile. Do you know how big of a deal that was? This was the $60 trillion deal that BlackRock was like, we're going to go fix climate change. And you better be a part of it. And you better have a high ESG score or else. Remember this whole thing that we were talking about?
Yeah.
Boom. BlackRock says we're out. Then in February, what do you think they do? In February, I think it's 24th, they say we're out of DEI.
Oh, weird.
When do you think the deal happens? First week of March.
Wow. Okay.
So whether this was, and by the way, you know who coached them through the process of this deal getting done with Panama Canal? Scott Bessent, Marco Rubio, President Trump, and others coached them through the process of doing this. And you know how quickly the sale happened? Like this, very quickly. And President Trump's been complimentary of BlackRock. I think founder Larry Fink in 2017 saying he made him some money in the past before. Here's the question.
If you like watching videos like this one, like and subscribe. We'd really appreciate it. Let's get back to the video.
And a concern. The main question we have to ask is the following. It's two questions, and see how you feel about this. Do you feel more comfortable BlackRock owning the Panama Canal? Do you know what type of leverage that is? Let me tell you. If people were worried about tariffs, if we, U.S., BlackRock, owns the canal against them, China, they came up with something written by the BBC that said any company that's based out of China, at any point we can seize that company and control the decisions. You know what it means? If China wants to say C.K. Hutchinson from China, U.S. is not playing ball with us with tariffs, guess what we're doing? We're stopping anything to go through Panama Canal. China could do that. With a law that they passed in 2020, Rob, I think if you can have Brandon send it to you, something that they did in 2020, 2021 when they wrote about it. So the question becomes, are you more comfortable with these two ports being owned by China, C.K. Hutchinson, or BlackRock? That's the question. Andrew, what do you think?
I feel like once an American company gets big enough, they just become an arm of the State Department. Not an arm, but like the decisions that they make at the highest.
You know, I mentioned having kind of a negative opinion of BlackRock because of the real estate stuff, but I totally forgot about the ESG and DEI stuff. Now that I'm remembering, that was what gave me an even more negative view of them, because I always looked at DEI and ESG way to control people. And it's one thing if a small company's doing it, or it's one thing if some small private company's doing it in their own company and they want to care about that garbage. But BlackRock has so much pull and power that had people bought into the DEI and ESG, I think it would have given them unbelievable control over companies, over people. But bottom line, I trust Donald Trump. And if he, Bessent, and Rubio were coaching BlackRock through this purchase, that's awesome. But I cut Andrew off. I want to hear what he has to say.
Level will be to the benefit of what the State Department believes is for America. Let's hope. Sometimes these companies make a lot of money and it doesn't really help American citizens, and we have a lot of resentment for that. But like Google works for America, right? Facebook works for America. And I wonder if BlackRock works for America, and that's Trump essentially going, yo, go buy that. We're going to tell you what to do with it, right? And we're going to administer whatever, geopolitical leverage that we need to administer through you, but we'll let you reap the benefits from it. The annoying thing about that is that I don't know if the American people are going to get the advantages of the American military, which is backing BlackRock owning this like very prestigious piece of like geopolitical leverage. Like if it's a profitable endeavor, I want that to trickle back to the American people, not Larry Fink. So, and it's not like we can't just go buy it. Why don't we just go buy it? I wonder if when we buy it, then it's an international flare-up. So we almost have to do it through like Shell Corporation, which is BlackRock. If we do it, China goes, this is war. If BlackRock does it, we just go, hey, that's BlackRock. This is the biggest fund manager in the world. We got nothing to do with that. But then Trump calls Larry and goes, Larry, this is what I need you to do. And then he better do it.
Yeah.
But it's a shame. I want the American people to win.
Tom, what do you think?
Well, I see the logic.
Well, this is an interesting one that I need to learn more about, but we want to hear from you. What did you guys think about this discussion about the Panama Canal? Let us know in the comments. Anyway, as always, really appreciate you watching, and we will see you in the next one.